This video is going to be more of a serious one, not because it's like an entirely serious topic, but because I think it's something very important to me and more specifically my community. In regards to this video is not really scripted. I have kind of a structure laid out for me on for what I want to talk about. But overall, it's going to be an unscripted video. Now, as you could probably tell by the title, and again, I'm making this incredibly overdramatic for no reason. This video is essentially my message to the leakers for the BLUELOCK community. I think as a whole, the majority of the community can say that they pay attention to leaks to some capacity. I'll say at least 50% of the community in some regard pays attention to leaks, follows a leaker, watches my leak videos or someone else's leak videos like Enamasu or even Natsu. And overall, I think that leaking in the capacity of posting the entirety of the chapter and in general just leaking the unreleased chapters, I think it does more harm to the community and than it does good. And I think that this week in particular was a very, very big display as to why leaking should not exist within this community. And again, this is just my message to leakers as to why, and also to you, why I think we should stop contributing to and following leaks. And I think it's very important that I make this video, right? And I think that it's something that I need to bring up here and bring up now because I am a hypocrite here. I'm someone who myself, in a way, posts the leaks, right? Because usually, if they come on time, every Monday you're going to see a video of mine like these or like these or like these where I'm covering the leaks. And yes, it's hypocritical to make the claim that I don't think we need leaks or I don't think that we should have leaks and that leaking does more harm than it does good when I'm out here essentially promoting the leaks, right? I'm putting it out there. I'm contributing to this issue. So what is in its own right, it is hypocritical, and I won't deny that. However, the first point that I want to bring up for this video is the fact that I don't think we necessarily need leaks. I think that the idea that we need the leaks and that leaking is a good thing within this community is something that's just a toxic mentality when it relates to the enjoyment of a series and the overall sphere that we create as a community for a series, right? And this doesn't just apply to BLUELOCK. This applies across the board to tons of other shows, and it's all about spoiler culture. It's standard human psychology that you want to be first. You want to know things first. You want to know things that other people don't know. And when it relates to leaks, you want to have the information as soon as possible. And I don't blame you because, for example, I'll give you an example here. Let's say you have the opportunity to watch a movie, and the movie releases on a Friday, but if you have the opportunity to see it on a Wednesday and watch it on a Wednesday before the majority of other people do. And sure, it's a pirated movie, so the act of watching it is technically participating in pirating activity and it is illegal. But the majority of people would still take up the offer to watch the movie or watch the clips of the movie or in general capacity engage with that content before it officially releases. And it is different when it relates to movies because no one wants to watch someone recording the movie on their phone for 2.5 hours and have dialogue and an audience, all that stuff. But for something like BLUELOCK, it's a much smaller scale. So, for example, let me say, if you had the opportunity to watch an episode of your favorite TV show a couple days or weeks beforehand, would you be interested? And this goes back to a very popular thing right now, in particular, K-pop Demon Hunters. I've seen it. I love the movie. But K-pop Demon Hunters, a lot of the points of the film, a lot of the clips of the film, and more specifically, the music of the film was leaked almost a month before the movie actually dropped. And a lot of people engaged with it and enjoyed it, of course. But it's a matter of, yeah, K-pop Demon Hunters still managed to become one of the, if not the most popular movie of all time right now. Specifically, at least in the past 5 years, this movie is one of, if not the most popular movie. It's Netflix's most popular. But the point I'm making is if you have the option to watch something or engage with something early, the majority of people would want to do it. And yes, I understand that capacity. However, I don't think we need to go into that mentality anymore. I think when it relates to leaks, the leaks do more harm than good because it takes away from the original the actual release date of the story, because I've engaged with a lot of people who don't care for the officials. And I know they don't care for the officials because they've seen the leaks already. And I know this again because I've made videos covering the leaks and then following up with covering the officials. And you look at like Animasu or Natsu, for example, and you compare the official releases to the unofficial leaked releases of the content. The views for the official content is drastically lower than that of the leaked content. And I don't think that's in relation to the capacity for the content, that people just don't find the official chapters more engaging or the content in those videos more engaging. I think it's just the fact that people have seen the content, so they don't really care. Because a lot of people, I'm going to say this now, a lot of people in the community, they don't read. They look at the images and they put two and two together. I've had to have several arguments with people that Bato and Shigiri are not geniuses. People don't think they're geniuses. They clearly are, but they don't read into the story, and they don't understand it. If it's not, they don't care. I'm diverting from the main topic, but the purpose is they don't care. People don't care about the official releases anymore because they could just, well, either read the official releases, sure, but they've already seen them. They know the content. They know everything that's happened. It's an issue. And when it comes to, do we need the leaks? No. Whatever. I don't think we need them. I think another question to bring up, though, is do we deserve the leaks? Because I've had an argument with someone in my Discord recently. No shade to them. I love them as an artist. I follow them on social media. I think that that they're a great person. At their core, they are a very good person. However, we had a disagreement where I said that the leakers should be criticized for poor activity when it relates to the leaks. And we got into a tangent how, and I'm not saying this point is wrong, but we got into a tangent about how he disagrees with my take on that and digress. But in a way, no, we're not entitled to the leaks. And I agree with his statement on that we shouldn't be just feel like we deserve the leaks. But it's an issue of, we deserve the leaks on time when we're told they're being delivered. And if we aren't given them on time, we deserve clarification as to when we're going to be delivering them. And recently, when it relates to a lot of leakers, they have very much so failed to do that. This week in particular. Now, leaking hasn't been but when the leakers are dropping their stuff, it hasn't been entirely bad. They've been consistent, they've been fine, but this week is definitely something that I have had an issue with when it relates to what we're getting. And this kind of segues into my next point, that I believe leaking as a whole destroys the community. And I talked about it very recently, very earlier in this video, where I mentioned, this was the last point, where I mentioned that the leaking does more harm than good, and in relation to, you don't read the officials because you already know the content. And that's one point of it, but I also want to take a look at another point. So the first thing I wrote down here was part of the chapter this week. So this week we got what was supposed to be 19 pages of content. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen chapter 317, we got 20 pages of content, meaning the leakers missed out on one of the core pages of this chapter. Now, obviously, it wasn't the end of the world, right? The chapter progresses always. Nothing was really taken out of context, but I think the issue arises with, they didn't know. And that is an issue to me, not them as people, but it's a matter of, you provide leaks, you provide translations, and you say that the leaks that you're giving are good quality, and the translations you're also giving, while they're fan translations, are relatively accurate to the content. So it's a shock to me when you don't notice, if your translations are so accurate, that you just mistake for a full page of it just being gone. Like, sure, if the main leaker in Japan didn't send it to you, that's not your fault that you didn't receive the page. But if your translations are accurate, you should realize that the page 3 and page 5, they don't segue into each other well. You should come to realize that there is definitely a page missing, or in some capacity, there's a page missing, especially when it relates to the organization of the pages, left and right, that little extra space there, that tells you what page it's on. And if you see that you get back-to-back pages of that on the same side, you'll realize, I think we're missing a page. But either way, the missing page is only just the start of this. The accurate translations is what I want to get into next, right? Because there have been a lot of issues with mistranslations and inaccurate portrayals of characters, specifically with the talented learner terminology that we got back in the PXG game when it was labeled as a prodigy. Now, the point is still the same, but it's a matter of inaccurate translations and people misusing the terms and not understanding the terms, and it becomes a confusion within the community because, again, some people are only reading the leaks. They're not reading the officials, and that is an issue because, again, you're taking away from the official series. And yeah, I don't need to point this out. Leaking is illegal, right? Like my content, in a way, I'm in the gray area when it relates to copyright. I've spoken to some lawyers. I'm relatively within the gray area. Um, so yes, it is unofficial material. However, when I'm releasing the material and the way I'm structuring my video, it's coming off as criticism, analysis, and something that's viewed in a constructive light. So I'm okay to a certain degree. The leakers are just straight up posting the leaks they get from someone, which is illegal. You saw recently there was a post about one of the leakers getting raided, actually, and that was the reason for the delay this week. But what concerns me, and the biggest issue for this point when it relates to leaking, is there was no level of communication with the leakers and with us. And again, this goes into, yeah, do we feel like we deserve communication? Honestly, I think we do. I think we do deserve a little bit of communication. If you say that the leaks are going to be coming at 10 p.m. EST, which they usually drop between 10 p.m. and 12 a.m. EST, usually between then. And it's now 2 p.m. or 2 a.m., sorry. And you guys, 4 leakers who all do this, haven't said anything? That's a little bit weird, right? That's a little bit suspicious to me. And it's also just kind of scummy, in my opinion, that you can go on and you set a responsibility for yourself and you say, the leaks are going to be coming at this time, on this day. And then you don't deliver and you're late by 4 hours. That's a little, concerning, right? Of, okay, what happened? We would like to know. We'd like to have an answer, especially since a lot of people, me and myself, me and other content creators, we stay up late for these leaks because we need to cover them for content because it pays our bills. Because again, being a content creator is a job. And yeah, you can make the argument, well, you shouldn't be relying on leaks the whole time. I'm not relying on the leaks, but I will say that covering the leaks adds an additional $300 to $400 at the end of the month with what I earn. And yeah, $300 to $400 is a lot of money. So yeah, when I'm staying up for 4 hours, when I do have other responsibilities in my life that I'd like to take care of, I would love to have some communication so I'm not left awake in the air. And again, this leads into, I'm not left awake, but this again leads into human psychology where you want to be a part of something. So you fight through the desire to sleep and the responsibilities that you have to have, and you put it off for the personal adrenaline you get when you are engaged in this space with people. Yep, my biggest issue just there was no communication this week. It was very, very sloppy. And with 4 leakers who I know live in different time zones, the excuse of, well, we were all sleeping shouldn't happen. And when it came to the Japanese leaker who got raided, it wasn't the Shadow, it wasn't Bochi, it wasn't Myth, it wasn't FX, it wasn't Paceman, it wasn't any of them. It was the guy they get their leaks from. But that doesn't stop them from posting a tweet saying, hey, I don't have the leaks. We might have we might have a big issue going on. I also posted a video a while ago where I complained back when Chapter 307 released. Actually, it was technically Chapter 305, X23, when we got the teaser from Shadow that Isagi was going to be in Spain in Chapter 307. Now, this was a big issue for me because Isagi going to Spain was a very huge and popular topic at the time. And the fact that it just got spoiled without us even getting the leaks for Chapter 306 or 307 first is a huge concern because that spoiled a very huge plot point of the story. Like, spoilers for One Piece. I'm going to put this out there now. Chapter 1044, I believe it's One Piece. Very big moment for Wano. When Gear 5 got revealed, at least the leakers for the One Piece community went out and said, hey, get off Twitter. This is something big happening. And I'm not saying that Isagi going to Spain is in the same capacity as Luffy going Gear 5, because Gear 5 is one of the most pivotal moments in the One Piece story. But Isagi going to Spain is a very huge topic and has been a very huge speculated topic for so long. So the fact that we got it revealed and spoiled for us 2 weeks ahead of when we would usually get them, even by leaking standards, it's a little bit scummy to me. I follow the leakers. I have Bochi and Shadow who follow me. But I will come out and say that the capacity to not have human decency or common sense when it comes to spoiling something, especially when you are a leaker and you have the capacity to spoil and reveal huge information within a story before it's supposed to be released, there's no capacity to avoid it, because even if you don't follow the leaks, those who are in the spaces of the community will use that content to farm clout. And this leads into me as a content creator, because the leaks give me a lot of views. So I know firsthand that when you reveal new information, it will become a talking point on social media, whether you want to view over the leaks or not. Whether you avoid them or not, they will be addressed. I'm going to spoil something else for Gachiakuta in particular that I think is very important. So again, massive spoilers. Again, massive, massive, massive spoilers for Gachiakuta. Fast forward ahead, please. When Tamsi was revealed to be the guy who killed Regito, and when Tamsi was revealed to be a secret villain, he captured Amo. He tortured Amo. He held her captive. He used a part of the Watchmen series. I, thankfully, wasn't spoiled on that content. But do you know how many posts for Gachiakuta I've seen where this is just blatantly discussed in comment sections or in videos, in content on slideshows? I've seen that be the top comment of a Gachiakuta edit of Rio. There's no relation or clips of Tamsi for Rio. And the top comment was, Tamsi kills Regito. It's inevitable. Spoilers will happen. And as a leaker, you are contributing to spoiler culture, which is a negative thing within the community. I'm sorry, I will stand on that hill. And again, I preface this, I am a hypocrite. I post about the leaks, but I'm posting them after they're already out there. I'm not the first ones posting them. I'm saying, okay, I'm making content on stuff that is going to be inevitably spoiled for me and the majority of the community. I might as well make some content on it and preface my videos with considerable spoiler warnings, but also add my own constructive criticism to it. You don't see the leakers doing that. They're just posting the leaks. That's where I find the divide being different. I've rambled for a lot. It's currently 19 minutes on my end of how long I've been rambling for. I don't know how I'm going to be editing this video down, and I'm not going to try and make this a fancy video. But the bottom line is, I don't think we need leakers. I think poor communication by the leakers, times of the leaks, and again, I'm going to actually get this into another point right now, because I feel like this is very important. The leakers take so long to post the leaks now, and it is all for their own ego and engagement. I will stand on that hill. That's what it is for, and that's what it's about. And again, I'm not saying it's wrong to use it for views, because I do the same. However, my issue is when, for example, the newest leaker this week. Now, he's new, so I'm going to take this as like a one-time thing, but it's still something relevant. The leaker went out, Paceman, he's brand new, and he said, okay, I'm going to be organizing the pages soon. And he said that around 2 o'clock. 5 minutes earlier, he posted the first page for the leaks. Now, that's fine, but he prefaced he's going to be posting them soon. It was then 4 hours later when the leaks started dropping. You could have prefaced the communication better by saying, I have to organize these. I'll give you an update when we're close on to releasing them. That would have been better. But don't post the first page of leaks and then wait 4 hours to drop the other. And then it goes into like Shadow, where Shadow will take sometimes 5 to 30 minutes sometimes to post a page of leaks. And Twitter, or X as it's called now, allows you to post at least 4 images, but they're posting it one at a time. Sure, Shadow is providing translations, but he's still posting it one at a time, every 10 minutes. Now, considering these guys, I'm assuming, are getting their leaks in advance because of how long it takes to translate them, I would just say, get them all translated and then post them, instead of taking 30 minutes per page. And again, maybe what I'm saying does sound ungrateful. And yeah, it to a degree is. But I as a whole would be so much happier if leaking did not exist in the community and we just treated leak days in the same way that we do official releases. Because let's be honest, let's take away the leaks. Everything just gets shifted by 2 or 3 days to Tuesday at 11 a.m., EST, when the officials drop, where we will get all high quality pages, no missing pages, accurate translations, and clear, crisp, beautiful art. If we simply stopped supporting the leakers, we would be able to have this enjoyment because we would have no issues with the leakers. We'd be able to read and make official content with full context, and no one in the community would be inflicted by wrong mistranslations, which have been common recently. I appreciate the leakers at the core for providing us with content. I do. But I think now that the leaks are coming less than 48 hours before the release of official chapters, if anything, it's closer to 36 hours before the release of official chapters, I think that it does not make sense for the leaking community to continue, specifically with leakers like Bochi, Shadow, Myth, Paceman, etc. I think leaking in the capacity should only remain for the anime clips, anime news, important news like that, that isn't chapters. It takes away from the official content and ruins the community as a whole. It engages in spoiler culture. And some might say, well, if the official releases, spoiler culture is still the same. Yeah, but at least we're getting accurate translations, accurate images, no missing panels, beautiful art, and the capacity to read it more accessibly. So at the bottom line, again, I appreciate the leakers for what they do and how they help me as a creator. However, I would like them to, again, this isn't going to go anywhere, but I would be hopeful that we stop leaking culture altogether and that we stop engaging with the leaks. When that happens and leakers continue, if they do, I'm going to continue on my end because, again, this is a job for me. This is money. This pays my bills. When it's the other capacity, when they stop, I will stop myself because we can enjoy a culture without leaking, without spoilers. And I think that is severely impacting the community in a negative capacity. I apologize for the negative video, but I hope you enjoyed the rant. And yeah, this is going to be a video like this maybe once in a while at most if something really upsets me. But I don't think it'll happen. I think it's all going to be uplifting content from here. But yeah, I appreciate you guys very much for helping me out and supporting me throughout the years I've been making content. And yeah, I will see you Saturday with a new Blue Lock video. Peace.